U.S. citizens. They're not charged in the state, they're not charged at the federal level, but they're being detained in an indeterminate state that has no human rights. I'm not saying these people aren't dangerous, and I certainly don't like them, but if we're going to have prisoners, there has to be charges. This is the American way. Anything less than that is tyranny. So I think that those prisoners should have been either returned back to their countries. I mean, if we're going to say they were on the field of battle, they probably should have been killed in action, but we took them for intelligence. If we got our intelligence, they should be returned to their countries, or, because that's what we would do if they were prisoners of war. We don't have a declared war. It's an illegal police action. So now we don't know what to do with it. Again, no charges. They aren't legally prisoners of war. We don't have a legal war, so we can't release them. The only thing left would be a military tribunal or to send them to World Court over in Europe. Those are the only two valid options. Bringing them to Illinois, I understand the danger issue, and a lot of people are afraid. But I look at it differently. This thing should have been stopped a long time ago for legal reasons. And that's my stand, is that they should not come to Illinois.
Okay. Let's talk about immigration.
Okay.
You know, Chicago's a sanctuary city. We have a lot of illegals in the Medicaid system in the state of Illinois. What are your thoughts on immigration? Should illegal aliens go back to the back of the line and be behind the people, say, in like sub-Saharan Africa or Southeast Asia or from South America that are trying to do it legally, or should we give them amnesty? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm against amnesty. Amnesty for one person has to be for a good reason, but amnesty for 11 million people or whatever the number's up to now, we don't know what their situations are. That kind of blanket amnesty is dangerous, I think. Okay. And this is an issue that I vacillate on. All of my issues, which are listed on my website, I've actually agonized over many of them to say, is this really consistent with the Constitution, really consistent with human rights? And this is a very difficult one. We have an immigration problem for two reasons. One is we lure these people into the country with free benefits in the form of free medical care, free education, in some cases free housing. We give them benefits that are not available to the citizens of Illinois or of the country. And then we throw a mountain of paperwork at them and fees so that it costs more than they could actually earn to come into the country to get in, and they have to wait. So what do? Do you swim the Rio Grande, or do you climb the mountain of paperwork that's necessary to get into the country? And I think that in order to stop illegal immigration, we have to do two things. We have to take away the free ride, and then we also have to provide a better legal way for honest and hardworking people to get into this country legally. That's a better way to keep track of them, is if we know they came into the country, than trying to follow people we don't know if they're there or not.
Sure.
Now, as far as the deportation issue, I'm gonna go head on this because I don't really have an answer, because there is human dignity involved with people who are only here because it's a better life. Gee, who can complain about that? They're trying to make their lives better. That's the American way. Certainly, I would punish employers for hiring illegals before I would deport illegals. Okay. Now, having said that, since I do not stand for amnesty, it's very likely the answer is going to be deporting them and having them reapply to get in.
Okay. But you want to make it easier, it sounds like. You want to change the bureaucracy?
It's a federal law.
You don't want a mountain of paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. It's a federal law, and as a governor, I won't have any control over that.
Sure.
But certainly, I do think we need a solution that is, again, provides for human rights as well as for what's fair for the citizens of our country.
Okay, well, let's talk about states' rights.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, let's talk about states' rights. As a state official, would you be willing to use the 10th Amendment to push back on Washington? And can you think of any areas where you think that Washington's already overstepping their bounds?
Well, first of all, I have signed a 10th Amendment pledge at 10thamendmentcenter.com.
Okay.
And I stand by that pledge. I believe strongly in the original idea of the United States, in which the states were equal partner with the federal government. And actually, Thomas Jefferson and James Madison said that we have the right to declare in federal law null, void, and no force, which would be the words they used. And in that regard, I would have to say that 100 years worth of legislation is probably constitutional, or very, very, very nearly so. I don't even think that Medicare and Social Security is constitutional, in spite of the Helvering decision, which I think was a horrible decision. So what will I do? That's the big question, because this is a powder keg issue. Senator Bill Brady introduced a resolution, and I've read it, and it's excellent. And my hat is off to him. He quotes Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. He sets a clear case in a resolution. That resolution has no teeth. Okay. What we have right now is a movement of nullification. And I don't know if people realize that this is not just a radical theory. Right now, Montana and 6 other states have nullified federal firearms acts. Right. And Indiana and 3 other states have nullified or have moved to nullify constitutional tender laws because of their opposition to the Federal Reserve, which as a libertarian, I'm certainly for that. Okay. There are other, actually, Illinois participated in a nullification act. It's called the Real ID Act. 26 states passed resolutions effectively nullifying the Real ID Act. Okay. So this is not a radical idea that we're afraid to take a step. We have made those steps. Even Illinois has participated in this process, although certainly I would like to see it go a lot farther. So would I nullify cap and trade or attempt to have it nullified by the legislature? Yes, I would. Would I try to get the General Assembly to nullify the health care bill? Yes, I would. Okay. So. All
right. Well, those are 2 good examples.
Sure.
So I'll stay on the tender box for a second here.
Sure.
We like controversial issues.
Let's go.
It's always fun for everybody. Do you believe it is right for taxpayer dollars to fund practices that many taxpayers find morally offensive?
Well, this is an easy one for me, because I don't think taxpayers should be funding most of the programs the government comes up with. So we'll do one example that may be on your mind, and abortion is a good example.
That's one example.
It's probably the biggest example, and no public money, I don't care at what level it is, should go to fund abortions. Okay. But I also would say, I'm not sure what other examples you want to give me.
Well, let me give you an opposite one, just to kind of throw how complex issues can become. Abortion's one. Another one would be someone who's a pacifist, who's against wars, say in Iraq or Afghanistan. Should they pay money for those, or pay taxes to support those?
To the wars?
Yeah.
Well, you're talking to somebody who just called those wars illegal.
Exactly.
So.
That's why it's interesting, because that's the opposite way to go on that. So,
right. And no, as a matter of fact, I think that is unconstitutional. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that we should be the policemen for the world. Okay. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say we defend our borders by involving ourselves in foreign wars. George Washington, in his farewell address, said, avoid entangling alliances, and what have we done? Just the opposite.
Okay. Let's talk about the Second Amendment. What's your thoughts on the Second Amendment? At what level do you support it, and how far does it go?
How far does it go? How far does our right for anything go? Okay. And remember that our right is not given to us by the Second Amendment or any of the Bill of Rights. None of those rights are given to us by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Okay. They are ours. They are inherent to us. Okay. And as such, let's quote a little bit of that Second Amendment you're talking about. As inherent in us, they shall not be infringed. Now, I'm not sure how much clearer you can get on that. So, am I for any infringement of our rights to keep and bear arms? No, I'm not. And if you don't mind my going on about it,
sure.
One of my favorite quotes, and many people have heard me talk about it, Samuel Adams once said that we as citizens have the rights of life, liberty, and property, and the right to defend them in the manner we see fit. Now, I think that says it all.
Okay, all right. It sounds like he's referring to kind of natural